It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hey, good morning, everyone. This is Gary and Steph, and we are here with rAVe TV, the industry's only live weekly TV show, and we're excited to be coming to you live. It is, what is it, Wednesday the 18th? 1 week, is that right? Yeah, 1 week from what holiday we both celebrate, Christmas. In fact, there's a Christmas tree behind your head there, Steph.
Oh, yeah. I hope y'all enjoy that. That's not mine, though.
It's got purple vibes to it, too.
Yes, it does. It's rAVe. She, my friend, I'm at her house right now in Tampa. She did this just for us, just for rAVe.
Is it snowing in Tampa?
No, it's like 75 degrees.
You know, it's weird. In North Carolina today, it's like it's going to be 68 or 69 degrees today. Mm-hmm. So it's it's like, I don't know. Do you remember the Muppets? Do you remember the weather, the summer and the winter weather Muppets that would fight?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I think of every time when we have these weird summer-like days. It's kind of weird. I remember of just a few years ago here in North Carolina, it was, and we're based in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, which is basically in the middle of the state for those of you who are watching that don't know our geography. But I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, it was like 75 degrees on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And then the next year, it was like 28 degrees on Christmas Day.
Yeah, it's so crazy. And you know what I think of? I think of Heat Miser and Snow Miser from The Year Without a Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of my favorite Christmas movies to watch. Yeah. So I think about them anytime. I feel like they're fighting for who gets to have the control of the weather on Christmas.
Well, I feel like we should say something about all the drone news in New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and all that kind of stuff.
Wait, did I miss it? What's happening?
Yes, you should just Google it. There's all these conspiracy theories out there that, you know, there's been an inordinately high number of drone sightings in the evening. But I have my own theory on it because for about a month it's been going on. In fact, people in our own industry have reported the drones flying over their own house, and they've reported them being as large as 6 to 8 feet wide. So this is kind of, and of course, you know, the initial reporting or initial conspiracy theory was that it's aliens. And the second one was it's the government.
Of course, it's usually one or the other. It's always aliens.
Weapons of mass destruction and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I have my own theory. Mm-hmm. All right, so here's what I think, because the numbers are up, the sightings are up, the numbers are up. So it is weirdly gone up, but that's a highly populated area, right? So here's my theory of why the numbers are all of a sudden up. So in 2023, the FAA changed the laws to allow, at the beginning of 2023, to allow drones to be flying at night. Before that, you had to be an airline or you had to be like a government entity to have that. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the drone companies learn this news because they're not building drones, everyday drones and drones, you know, regardless of size, commercial drones, like the kind that, you know, we have a Chick-fil-A here locally, Steph, I guess, you know, that will deliver by drone. You should order it because they're diagonally across the street from our office. So you basically, you can have drone delivery of like food and stuff like that. There are companies that are delivering by drones. So, and of course there's people that have drones. In 2023, they passed the law or changed the law where you can fly at night. Well, it takes a while for the drone manufacturers to re-outfit the drones with night lights, but also the cameras that can see at night, because my drone it can't see at night. It's not one that has night vision, right? It has because it's never expected to fly at night. So that takes like, say, 6 months to a year for all the manufacturers to have night versions of drones. So then people buy them, and all of a sudden now they're flying them. So it takes a while, and that's why all of a sudden the numbers are up, because that's my theory, at least, is that it just took a while for people to buy, you know, to buy night drones, and then you have to have a reason to fly them at night too, right? I mean, it's not, you know, it's not the kind of thing you'd want to just go out and do. And then I think as you get reports of people of this inordinate number of drones, there's people who I know and you know, who are the kind of people that would go, I'm going to go fly my drone up right now just to freak people out.
Yes.
So
I think you're one of them.
I don't think so. I don't think I would do that. I think I would. I do have fun with my drone. I do like it, but you know, I don't want to create panic. But anyway.
That's so funny. I don't know. I think that anytime anything like abnormal happens, people are like, it's the government.
Yeah, I mean, but
like,
the truth is, you have to admit, the truth is, lots of governments have held secrets from people. Like, I mean, yeah,
right, of course,
and we're not immune to it either. Like, our government
course.
colluded with the press, who colluded with the government not to report bad news and wars and in times of strife and things like that. And so it has happened historically. So
yes, that's absolutely correct. But I think that people go a little far with their theories, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you go on social media, there's inordinate number of theories on all this stuff. But anyway,
brain rot.
Stay safe. And if you're in New York, New Jersey, I'll be in New York next week to see one of my daughters.
Yes. And as always, if you see something, say something.
That's right. All right. So, Steph, last week I did the show all by my lonesome self, but we did have a session with you where you came in and did a quick minute or so tour of the DSE show floor. I know the show was small, but there was a lot of excitement around the show for a few different things. One was the change of the date for next year. That seemed to generate a lot of social media buzz.
Right. And I think that is a good thing for them. Honestly, like moving it to San Diego, I think will be a really positive change. Because I think it's just kind of taking it to a little more of a local location, making it a little smaller, and more like a regional show. And I think that'll be great for DSE.
And I had a question for you that I did not get answered. And I haven't done the research. I don't know why, but did they also move LDI as well? Or is LDI going to be a separate show?
LDI is going to be a separate show.
Okay. So this is going to be more, from my understanding, this is going to be more like a conference, more like what they've done, what the digital signage conference in
I think he froze.
Germany has
been.
Uh-oh, did we lose Steph? All right, so I think Steph froze in a very interesting way. I think we should just keep that up just so people can see Steph like that. Hopefully she'll know to reboot a little bit. But I'll tell you what, I know one thing she was going to talk about is Replay DSE 2024, which is going to happen today. Let me check the time for that. Replay DSE 2024 is at 1 p.m. today. If you haven't signed up for that, you can go to launch.com, lavnch.com, or scan the QR code, which will come up at some point in time during our broadcast today, to get all of our stories that we talk about. There you go. Check that out. Scan that QR code and you can register for Replay DSE. And in Replay DSE, not only have we taken and curated the best of DSE, it was a small show, so there's not a lot to curate, but there was a lot of stuff there. There were a lot of new products there. So we've curated the best videos that we shot there, but also we're going to announce our DSE 2024 awards, Best of DSE awards, which we've been doing probably about 15 or so years for the DSE show. So if you're interested, join us. So while Steph was out also, ISE announced the one of the keynotes that they're going to have. They always have some pretty awesome keynotes at ISE 2025 in Barcelona. We actually published all the details on what they're going to do, because the keynote is going to be delivered by an Italian artist by the name of Kuala. And I'm sure Kuala. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right, quite sure. I apologize up front, but he's going to do a keynote on how projection mapping is art, and going to show some demos of this. That he's also going to showcase his artwork on the Promenade, which is the main street in outside of Barcelona, on February 4th at 6:30 p.m. So he'll talk about sort of all of that. Hey, Steph, you're back.
I am back. I don't know what happened. I have no answers.
This is the world of the internet, right? The internet things. So
yeah, exactly.
Anyway, you're just in time for me to go to a story from Shure on the MXA 902 plus ANIUSB-MATRIX audio conferencing kit, which they announced 2 weeks ago. They've kitted the two together, and here's a video about why this is better for you and what you get out of this new kit.
All right, the next story that we have for you today is from Extron. This is on its compact 3-source audio mixer, and it's made to go in just about any room that you can configure. So this is the MVC121XI, and it has a built-in DSP for mixing and signal processing. It has a stereo line level input, 2 mic line level inputs with 48-volt phantom power for condenser mics, and it has fixed and variable stereo line level outputs. So it has, basically every control filter adjustment that you can imagine.
I mean, this thing would be great for small rooms. Like you put in a room and you have.
Look at the size of it. It's basically just like this. So
it's actually very small. It's like about the size of I'd say an Apple TV.
Yeah.
About the size of an Apple TV.
Yes.
But yeah, the fact that it's 2 mics in line level means you can do program audio and also mix 2 mics in. So in any kind of classroom, meeting room, that kind of thing, this would be great. And this would be great to pair with Shure's Next2 wireless system, for example. This could be the input device that the Next2 wireless connected to this would allow you to put into any system that you have out there, because obviously Extron doesn't make microphones. So the two together, I think that's why they came out with this stuff is to go after that category. And also like what Catchbox has and companies like that, right? You could easily put them in there. So
exactly.
I wrote a story about the Zones show that I went to a couple of weeks ago. I went to Zones. Zones is a company. It's very interesting. I was asked to keynote this show because Zones is a big IT reseller. They're an integrator of IT. They're the kind of company that a university would contract all their IT services to, or a hospital staff would contract all their IT services to. Well, obviously, when they're doing IT, they get asked to do AV. They're not an AV integrator, okay? They do AV because they get asked to do AV. So they wanted to understand sort of our path to networking all the AV stuff and how it would be managed and controlled and best used by them. They don't want to become an AV integrator. They want to work with AV integrators, but I also want to understand sort of where where they should play. So I did the keynote there. I thought it was a quite interesting event that they had. It was their first live event since 2019. So I was honored to be part of that. I actually had a chance to interview a few different executives there. One who is basically the head of all technology for the entire company, and he talked about the impact of AI on the organization. That was a phenomenal interview with Tony Berg. I would highly recommend that you take a look at that story and watch that video. I think that was a cool, his vision of sort of how AI is going to be, because he talked about AI stuff beyond products. He talked about AI and sort of like everyday applications and how much computing power people are going to need now to hold on to their own AI, because you can use ChatGPT, but the problem is it's public, right? So if you want your own internal AI, so let's imagine you're a hospital and you have all this HIPAA stuff to deal with, but yet you still want to use AI to get data on how many patients have experienced this or that, or what are the cameras that are monitoring patients, the AI that requires. All that data has to be secure and on premise. And so they're having to deal with that. They can't just they have to always use on-prem or edge-based AI. They can't use network-based AI or internet-based AI because of HIPAA. And same thing with FERPA for universities, right? So, students can use AI and do whatever they want, but like professors are more limited. So there's certain things we can't do willy-nilly because of FERPA. So I think it's an interesting sort of marriage of, AV and IT. And I think that if the future of AV is IT, I think we're going to see more companies like Zones appear in our industry. So I do have a quick video clip of one of the interviews that I did with Tom Besselman. And Tom basically is, his title is VP of Sales. He's over all of it. And he has sort of a interesting kind of positioning for the company. For those of you who don't know who they are, it's just a 1-minute interview. So just 1 minute, watch this.
Hey everyone, this is Gary Kay, and we are here at the Zones Customer Connect Show, which is the first live event they've done in probably 5 years. We're here in Chicago, Illinois, and this is going to kind of kick off the 2025 tour. I'm here with Tom Besselman, who's the Senior Vice President of Sales. Are you excited about this? How's it going?
We're super excited about this. it's really a chance for us to get together with our clients and our partners and really develop some synergy together to help them be successful into 2025.
I mean, your role's kind of interesting because you're managing sales and you sell to so many different vertical markets. It's not just one, it used to be years ago, technology was sold to tech companies, but now everyone uses it.
It really is. So we've got a horizontal approach with a vertical mindset. And what you'll see is that a lot of different industries use the same technology, but what's really different is the vernacular, how they talk about it, and what's really important to them. So if you took like retail, their biggest focus is really on customer experience. And then secondly would be sales associate experience. And then if you talk to the energy, they're focused on their customer as well, but using different words and how they approach it.
So for our next story, this is a blog column written by Scott Tyner, and this was about something that was introduced at Microsoft Ignite. This is the Windows 365 link. And if you are unaware of what this is basically like Microsoft's this is a hardware product that you can put in your room and run Microsoft Teams rooms off of it. So it was announced during the keynote, but this was one of the things that was generating a lot of buzz. And this is because instead of equipping a space with a full-fledged computer, you can deploy these devices, which are about like $350, and you can walk into a room, authenticate yourself, and access your Windows 365 cloud desktop, and you've got your preferred applications, your settings, your configurations, and then you can just get your meeting up and running. So what Scott is saying is that this device can actually be really, really great for classrooms, so that professors can just walk in, really quickly log in, and then they have this device to run all of their meetings and all of their software off of, instead of having to bring their own device or use a desktop PC that costs like upwards of $1,000.
It's interesting concept because at a university we put PCs in every classroom, and the purpose for that is so that you can basically just walk in the room and present PowerPoint or whatever. This box allows you to do that without having to put a PC in the room. So it's a purpose-built box. So that would mean that you'd have a room where you could custom build the interface. So you walk in the room and the interface could be custom built, or for that matter, you could put a fingerprint identification or voice-based identification, have the box set itself up. But here's the limitation stuff. It does not run Apple software. And because of that, I think that it will be limited on the university campuses, because the universities, although we use Teams, most professors and certainly the giant majority of students are using Mac devices. So the idea of putting this in and making it the only device in the room is probably not going to work out in the university community, even though that's a big part of their potential.
I don't know though, because a lot of universities are still like PC based. I think that they're just recently becoming more popular with Apple. It really just depends.
I mean, again, it depends on the school. Like, I think most liberal arts or creative schools have gone to putting a Mac in a room. Like campus-wide, we've done Macs in the rooms, and we have some rooms with PCs. And then, it depends on if you're research-based or if you're science, based and stuff, that's more Windows. If you're more creative, then I think it's more Mac. Department by department, it might differ as well. Medical school's probably going to use Windows. But again, if you have that one presenter wants to present with a keynote, they can bring in their laptop and plug in and still present HDMI. So I think it's quite interesting. I like his concept, and I think it's an article worth reading, especially if you're in higher education. So scan the QR code and definitely go read it. And hey, one thing to mention is that last week, by the way, Steph, you weren't here, but Legrand introduced their acoustic tile into the market on rAVe TV. Now they had mentioned that they had shown this actually at InfoCon, but they weren't shipping it yet. It comes in all different flavors and meaning colors, and also different patterns, and you can have it customized even as well. But Legrand AV has a new solution diagrams landing page that they want you to check out. It has over 70 solutions there, like pre-configured systems. Each diagram comes with downloadable list of bill of materials. So it simplifies projects. So if you're using brand as your glue company, they've put together systems with all the different brands together, and all you have to do is add a projector, add a monitor, add speakers, things like that. So you can check them all out at legrandav.com or scan that QR code, and we'll take you directly to that page.
Yeah, very nice. For our next one, I included another column, and this one is from Lee's dad. And he is writing about like what happens when you have like a really, really long sales funnel. Like what happens when the beginning of communication and the yes, we'll buy this, and then the okay, when are we going to get this? What happens when that takes like 5 years? I didn't realize that happens sometimes. Because I'm like, well, isn't what they ordered like now defunct? But
most of the time, time it is. Now, it's interesting because it's the product at the end that is the one, like the glue stuff, like signal routing distribution and mounts and audio processing. That stuff doesn't change that quickly. In other words, it does. Probably goes on about a 5 to 10 year cycle, right? Where you have a significant change. Like audio was long, 25 years, didn't change at all. And then all of a sudden we had Dante. So some of it does change a lot, but yeah, you'd have to be careful how you spec, right? Because although the mounts would be the same, the interface might be totally different on the display you put in.
Yes. So Lee was saying that like a company will get a quote from one of his dealers on like a fleet deployment, and then they'll ghost the dealer. And so like eventually the sales rep just like stops calling because like if you're not answering, okay. And then he's like months later, the client will like show up at the dealer's office and be like, okay, like we're ready. Can you schedule the installs?
Yeah.
And he's like, isn't that crazy? So he was saying that like recently one of his dealers in the IT space forwarded him an email thread from a client being like, Lee, can you please update the SKUs and the cost on this quote? And he was like, yeah, sure. And he looked at the bottom of the thread and it was from like September 2019. And he was like, okay. You mean really
this is not atypical. I mean, because especially in the government, right, where funding comes and goes, but they definitely have a plan for the project, and especially where they're building a new building, where they'll say, well, this will take a year and a half, right, and then it takes 4 years to build the building, but yet everything's already been spec for all the rooms in the building. So I imagine they have this problem not just on tech stuff, but also in furniture and things like that too.
Oh,
so
yeah,
not that different. But anyway, WEYTEC also introduced this week a SmartRemote for its systems. So if you're using WEYTEC for command and control, that's their sort of like uniqueness is command and control. They have a new SmartRemote system which allows you to manage the command and control systems from anywhere in the world if you're using WEYTEC, WEYTEC. Which is one of the leaders in command and control. They'll be at ISE, by the way, Steph. I've already talked to them about doing some stuff with them at ISE. And then I know we want to talk about the case study of the week, which is a house that's pretty awesome. Isn't it?
Yeah, in Melbourne, Australia. This is a residential custom integration project that uses Control4, and it is absolutely beautiful. The owner basically just really wanted the house to be your amazing smart home, but with geometric shapes and colors added to the lighting design. So over 1,000 yards of Control4 vibrant linear lighting from Snap One, which is now part of ADI, were used. And they became like basically the feature of the room design, which was just like a really, really cool and kind of artistic idea to make your smart home really pretty with Control4's lighting. So you can read that whole case study and check out everything that they did. It's on ravepubs.com as always.
Excellent. Now, AVer was also on the show live last week.
Yes.
And he did a phenomenal job kind of reviewing everything he did for 2024, which the big highlights are NDI and everything for free, and then a bunch of new products, right? Well, here's one of the new products that we talked about so that you understand the Phone 700, which is a ceiling speakerphone system specifically for UC spaces. So check this video out.
Okay, and we're back.
I was trying to find my purple Santa hat that I wore last year, but I can't find it. So. Hey, I did mention why you were frozen on the screen like this.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
I had encouraged Carrie to keep you up like that, but you disconnected. But in any case, we have Replay DSE today at 1 p.m. That'll be our last live event for the year. This is our last rAVe TV of the year. And that's because, weirdly enough, both Christmas Day and New Year's Day fall on Wednesday. So instead of doing like a Tuesday or Thursday, we're giving the team the days off. So Steph, this is it. This is the end of 2020. And this is like episode, I think 197, if I counted up correctly, something like that.
196, yeah.
Oh, this is 196. Okay. So that would mean that, so we're going to hit number 200 quickly.
We are. That's exciting. I can't believe we've been doing
We could go into syndication.
We might as well.
Like Friends and Seinfeld and all those other shows. Yeah,
start playing reruns.
We should. You know what we should do?
What?
For our 200th, we should run our first we should run clips from our first episode. That's what we should do.
Our first episode was like so chaotic. I think we just talked about
we should do that. Steph, let's do that. Let's on our maybe the 199th episode, we'll do some clips from the first episode, because I'm curious too. I don't remember what it was like doing the first episode. I honestly don't remember.
I feel like we just talked about Disney for like 10 solid minutes.
I don't remember. I honestly do not remember the first episode. I don't remember even having any kind of chaos connecting.
It wasn't like technically chaotic. It was just like we just talked about whatever for 30 minutes.
But it caught on quickly. A lot of people, it's funny. A lot of people, over the years, people have come up to me and said, "Oh, I took your class at Infocom or ISE, and you helped me get in the industry, or I read your stuff." Now I watch you on rAVe TV. So it's a lot of people are obviously watching because they're seeing and they comment on it. So, and I'm sure that's the same way with you.
Yes, that has happened to me quite a bit at the past few shows. So it's always nice when people, come up and say something about like, "Hey, I've been listening," or "I've been watching for a long time."
Yeah, and it takes a big team here to do this. Like literally everybody in the company is activated for rAVe TV. Carrie's the one who's produced, I don't know, probably at least 85 to 90% of them.
For sure.
But obviously we have, we've Kelsey doing social, we have Abby doing social. We have, we've got a team of copywriters. So we got just everyone sort of activated in some way, graphics from Anne-Marie. And so everyone is activated. Stuart and Brian making everything. And by the way, one thing we're going to launch the beginning of next year, Steph, which you've helped us do, or proof, is a new version of our app. So we've had an app for at least 15 years. I'm going to figure out exactly when our first year was. But this is version 8 of our app, which is significantly different. It takes advantages of all the new features of the phone, but also takes advantages of it combines all that rAVe does into one app. So we're going to put launch into this app, right? So all the launch content that we do will be in this app, but also all the rAVe stuff that we do will all be available in this app, and the live event stuff that we do, the live shows like this, but also the trade shows that we do will be all in the app. So we finally gotten to a place where I think we're ready to release it. With software, it's never completely done, but we're about as done as we can be. Speaking of which, we're about as done with this show as we can be. So we hope that you all have a great end of the year. Enjoy whatever holiday you celebrate, and we hope you have a fruitful 2025.
Exactly. Happy holidays, everybody. We will see you next year.
It's the weekly show about Pro AV with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary.